Dear students, in this module we continue to explore the properties of the amino acids. Just to remind you, the amino acids have certain properties that come together in a protein and therefore give rise to newer properties for the entire protein. The properties of the amino acids include polarity, charge states, hydrophobicity, hydrophilicity, and so on and so forth. As I mentioned, that these properties are depending upon the R group side chain of the amino acid. So given that the amine and the carboxyl group are the same in every amino acid, the only thing that varies is the R group side chain. So if the R group side chain takes the form of different elemental composition, then it gives rise to new properties. In this diagram, you see the R group of an amino acid that we discussed earlier as well, and this R group is located between the amine and the carboxyl group, and the amine group polymerizes with another carboxyl group to form a polypeptide towards this side, while the carboxyl group polymerizes with an amine group to make a polypeptide on the right hand side. So this R group stays here and gives rise to different properties. So these properties are of interest to us because they have very unique outcomes that lead towards the formation of unique protein structures. So the first characteristic of amino acids that we want to study today is the hydrophobic amino acids. The hydrophobic amino acids, as is obvious from the name, are scared of water. So they don't want to interact with water molecules and they stay away from them. What kind of elements are there in the R group that I just showed you, which give rise to such hydrophobic nature, or a nature which is essentially to be scared from water? So those elements include carbon and hydrogen. Since hydrogen and carbon induce very little dipole moments, as I have mentioned here, the hydrophobic amino acids, they tend to stay away from water and they do not interact with water. Apparently, this is quite a lagging, because if an amino acid is not going to interact with any other water molecule, then it will have no function. However, this apparent conclusion is not right, and hydrophobic amino acids play crucial roles in the protein structure formation that we will just investigate. If you take a look at the protein structure, the folded protein structure, you will be amazed to find out that almost all the hydrophobic amino acids are located in the heart of the protein structure, or what we call the core of the protein structure. So these hydrophobic amino acids, they give the protein its foundation core. And the surface of the protein contains some other amino acids that we will study later. So the hydrophobic amino acids, as I just mentioned, they contain lots of carbons and hydrogen. As you can see here, the amino acids alanine, valine, leucine, isoleucine, methionine, phenylalanine, tryptophan, and proline, they contain so many carbons and hydrogens that they essentially can be called hydrophobic. Their hydrophobic sites are shown in the blue boxes here, 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 and so on. So these are the R groups for each of these amino acids, and this describes the hydrophobic nature of these amino acids. Secondly, there are these polar amino acids. So the polar amino acids are those amino acids which contain both positive and negative charge, but the overall charge of the amino acid is 0. So this is a very important point to remember, that for polar amino acids, there are positives and negatives inside the amino acid, but the overall sum of these positive and negative charges is equal to 0. So they prefer to reside in aqueous or water mediums because they have this positive and negative charge, so they can interact with OH group and H group in the water molecules. Since they interact with other water molecules, so it is intuitive to understand that if the core is hydrophobic, the surface will be hydrophilic. So the core should be stable and should not interact with any water, but the surface should be able to interact with water, and therefore all the polar amino acids are mostly located on the surface of the protein. The polar amino acids are given here, and the R group side chains are shown in the pink boxes. So to conclude, the amino acids have unique properties such as their charge states, their polarity, and their hydrophobicity, and that these properties, they describe the overall characteristic of an amino acid.